once again. Terror has come to New England, this time spreading to the small country town of Dunwich, just a few miles from Arkham. The area is filled with rolling hills, many of which are topped with mysterious stone circles, or the ramshackle houses of the recluses who live outside of town. At night, the piping of the whippoorwills fills the air, while lightning bugs dance in the witch-haunted hallows. This is a place where dark pacts with unknown forces are made, and where city folk go to disappear without a trace. But however much the people of Dunwich may distrust outsiders, they desperately need your help against the horror that has manifested on the Whateley farm.
Hello everyone, Catweazle here. Welcome back to Arkham Horror, the Dunwich Horror. Yes, it's a new playthrough, and after getting our asses soundly kicked, playing the Kingsport Horror and There's Something in the Mist, we've now moved on to Dunwich. Same drill as previously in the other 5 actual playthroughs. It's an introductory scenario, so some things have been taken out, some things have been added, usual stuff. We've got the new locations from Dunwich, the big box expansion. We've got the new allies that we've got to choose from. We've got the gate cards, the mythos cards, with some taken out. Particularly the gate cards. One of the other worlds in Dunwich is Lost Carcosa, but that's really a King in Yellow world. So we've taken all the gate tokens out, and we've also taken the gate cards out for Lost Carcosa. Another time is still included, and like any small board that gets added in the big box expansions, exactly the same as Arkham. It's got a succession of neighbourhoods and locations that relate to those neighbourhoods. They are Village Commons, Backwoods Country and Blasted Heath. Other changes that you may notice is a little track up here called the Dunwich Horror Track. There's 3 tokens that relate to that. If we ever fill that up, then the Dunwich Horror comes out. And there's a reason why it's called the Dunwich Horror, because it's pretty horrible. They are related to these rifts. Well, they're sort of like rifts. As you can see, they've got markers going to them. Like that's a monster moving on white would go into that one. A monster moving on black would go into that one from Backwoods Country. And if they're in Village Commons, it's black and white to go into that particular one. We don't really want that happening because that fills up the Dunwich Horror Track, and we really don't want the Dunwich Horror coming out. It's not nice. So, unlike Kingsport, which was just the rift mechanic, we probably will have to send somebody up here. There are other good reasons to send an investigator up there. One, we've got clues. Why do we have clues? We've got clues because we have unstable locations. So I think there's 5, yep, there's 5 unstable locations. They can get gates. So as well as going up to collect clues, we may have to go up to shut some gates. The reason we want to shut gates is we don't want monsters coming out. Monsters come out, go into the rift, Dunwich Horror Track goes up, Dunwich Horror comes out. Not nice. So that's a quick look around the Dunwich Horror board. We'll probably see more of that. Unless we get a really appalling couple of turns to start off with, we will definitely have somebody up in Dunwich. So we will be able to see the locations and how they work. As for Arkham, business as usual. Clues on all the unstable locations. All the usual other worlds. Some of the gate tokens have been took out, like relay as normal. But anything that's took out, if you have a look at the link that I always put on to the scenarios, it's the 6th scenario, the Dunwich Horror, and you can check it all in there. So there's my print off of it. Just says what to take out, what to keep in. So that's what we've done. Prepared that already. Who are we up against? Well, we're up against Yog-Sothoth. And there's a very good thematic reason for that. because Yog-Sothoth is actually the Dunwich Horror's dad. Anybody who hasn't read H.P. Lovecraft, you may want to fast forward a bit now. I'll just give you some background on it. The Dunwich Horror, which is a tale by H.P. Lovecraft, it's about the Whateleys, and here's Whateley Farm. And what happens is they end up, Whateley's daughter, Lavinia, has a thing with Yog-Sothoth, and she gets impregnated with twins. One is quite human-like, Wilbur, but the other one, the other one isn't nice at all. In fact, you saw a picture of him while you saw the introduction. He's not nice, is he? So that is the Dunwich Horror. So that's why we've got Yog-Sothoth. So let's read. Yog-Sothoth, the key in the gate. While Yog-Sothoth stirs in his slumber, the difficulty to close or seal a gate increases by 1, which is not good. In addition, any investigator lost in time and space is devoured. That's it. So if, like Diana in the Kingsport playthrough, if you get lost in time and space, that's it, you're just devoured. Start of battle, any investigator with no gate trophies is devoured, so we need gate trophies. It's -5, so if we do get into the final battle, it's -5 off whatever weapon we use. Worshippers. Yog-Sothoth's worshippers have powerful magical abilities. Cultists have magical immunity and a combat rating of -1. So we need physical weapons. May as well read this as well. It's magically immune, so again we need physical weapons if we ever get into the final battle with it. Attack. Each investigator must pass a will +1 check or lose a gate trophy. Once you're down to 0 gate trophies, you're devoured. So it's not even a case of you running out of dice with taking -1, -1, -1, -1 off all the time, like we did with the speed checks. As soon as we run out of gate trophies, it's game over, man. So if we can win before then, all the better. We've seen how hard it is to win a final battle, and that was with Yig, and he's supposed to be easy. So what we've got to do is get some physical weapons. We've got to keep some gate trophies back just in case, but I like to do that anyway, just in case we get an opportunity to win unclosed gates. So not too bad for me, it's just the way I like to play. But he's a bit mean, and he's also got a lot of eye stalks and stuff, so we definitely want to beat him. Right, so that's Yog. Okay, what else is there to mention? Going to use the thematic starting possessions again. Also what I've done is I've already picked out our investigators. It's just to save time really. Now I'm using thematic possessions and stuff. You know, like last time, I had to quicken it up. I did it, took 2 hours. It's just quicker. So it's nobody we've seen before. Usual rules apply. Those that are not allowed as part of the scenario weren't included. People like Amanda Sharp and Harvey Walters, for example. Those that were left, I took out the ones that we'd already used, like Ashcan Pete and people like that. So we were left with the 4 that I found. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good at picking. Most of them are spellcasters, which, considering the magical immunity thing, is a bit of a pain in the arse, but c'est la vie. Oh, the other thing I meant to mention was, you may have noticed at the beginning, I normally do that read through of the flavour text. This time I left it to a text-to-speech program, The Wise Old American Man. Hope you enjoyed it. Those of you that hated it, don't worry, it's just in the introduction episode. You won't be hearing it in any of the other episodes coming forward. But a quick shout out to Doug Herring. He actually did it in his Touch of Evil playthrough. Used a text-to-speech program. And just at the beginning of every episode he sort of did a synopsis of the previous episode, and that's where I shamelessly ripped it off from. So if you're watching, Doug, nice one. I borrowed that one, but just for this episode. Okay, so that's it. Let's go across and see who I've picked out. And here are our investigators. Okay, first one out was William Yorick. So let's have a look at him. William Yorick, the Gravedigger, 4 sanity, 6 stamina. Special abilities, Secret of the Dead. Any phase, William may spend his monster trophies as though they were clue tokens on a 1-for-1 basis. Bury them deep. any phase. Each time William spends a monster trophy, he may decide to return it to the box instead of placing it back in the monster cup. Cool. His home is South Church. After all, he's a gravedigger. Fixed possessions, $4. He did keep his $4. Random possessions, we'll pull them shortly. I've kept that, obviously. Don't want any accusations of me pulling like Tommy guns out, especially considering it's Yog. So I'll do that in a moment. So he gets 2 common items, 2 unique items, 3 monster trophies, which I'll draw out the bag, and 1 skill. Cool. His focus is 1. His speed is pretty poor at 3. His sneak's okay at 4. His fight's okay at 4, and that's important because we're going to need groin punchers. His will is quite good at 6, so hopefully he will avoid losing sanity if he can get a decent weapon. Law, 4, which isn't bad, and his luck isn't bad at 4. Right, let's read his story. The story so far. If all the world truly was a stage, then William Yorick felt he had a bit part at best. After studying for years to become a Shakespearean actor, he found that dramatic monologues didn't put bread on the table. So, desperate for work, he had accepted a job as a gravedigger. He figured that while gravedigging was an unusual job, there wasn't really anything wrong with it. After all, one of Shakespeare's best scenes involved a gravedigger. Sure, the work was hard and dirty, but William had never shied away from honest labour before. That, of course, was before the weird corpses began turning up. Strange inhuman things, they caused William's flesh to crawl and his palms to sweat. He began to see strangers watching him wherever he went, and he knew instinctively that taking the corpses to the university would be the last mistake he ever made. Which is why William finds himself in the pews at South Church. While he has never been a particularly religious man, he finds that Father Michael usually has good advice. Today, William feels like it could make all the difference in the world. So that's William. Okay, well, that's second, and we'll get his possessions. We need 2 common items, 2 unique items, 3 monster trophies, and a skill. So let's have a look at that. Alright, then first of all, let's have a look at his 2 common items. So we'll give it a shuffle. Quick shuffle, quick cut. And his first common item is a map of Arkham. And I shall just quickly check whether he can have that. He can't. So we'll have to draw again. Next, old journal, a tome. Nope, unlucky. Next, whiskey. Nope. Not doing very well, are we? Genealogy research? No. A cavalry sabre? No. 45 automatic? We could do with this. No. Oh, he could have had the 38 revolver. Ancient tome? No, he's obviously not getting any tomes. Research materials? No. Shotgun? Gah! Search materials, no, again. Lantern, he can have the lantern, I think. Finally, so he gets a lantern. Bullwhip, no. Dark cloak, and he can have the dark cloak. So he gets the lantern and the dark cloak. That's it for his common items. He gets 2 unique items. I think he's allowed any on the unique items. Let me just check. He is. So we'll just give it a quick shuffle. And he'll just pick 2. There we go. Quick cut. So he's going to get the top 2 no matter what. The silver key, that's pretty good. Put 1 stamina token from the bank on silver key before making an evade check to automatically pass it. Discard silver key after using it if there are 3 stamina tokens on it. So that's pretty good. And his second is holy water. +6 to combat checks, discard after use. It's okay, holy water, but I hate the fact it's just a one-stop shop. Right, so that's his unique items. Monster bag. So he gets 3 monster trophies. Woo! Good ones please, Yorick. Oh, a cultist. It's not too bad considering they're magically immune. So he's already killed one. Or he's like sort of, he got them while they were being interred. He's grave robbed. Next one is a maniac. These are pussies, William. We want something like a bloody leng spider or something, a loigor or something horrible. That's more like it, a serpent person. Right, so he's not got much toughness of monsters there. 3 single hit monsters. That's rubbish, William. Right, so those are his 3 trophies. At least we've got rid of one of the cultists. Okay, so he's got his 3 there. And he wants a skill. I'll check he can have a particular skill. Hopefully we won't be picking about 500 out like we just did. Fisticuffs. Nope, can't have that. So that goes on the bottom. Expert occultist. Don't think he can have that either. Nope. +1 luck. Surely gravediggers are lucky. Yes, he can have luck. So we'll put that there. Right, so that's William sorted out. I'll just sort that out and then we'll move on to our next investigator. So, quickly back with William. We've obviously got to read his personal story. So, right, William Yorick. When William dug up the first corpse, he couldn't believe what he was seeing and he put it in the shed for safekeeping anyhow. When he found the second corpse, he began to get a little worried. But he had put it in the shed with the other one. After the third corpse turned up, William decided that he was going to have a talk with Father Michael about them. After all, the shed was getting rather crowded. Right, so that's William's personal story. And what's he got to do? So, things undreamt. Pass. If William is blessed, place heaven and earth in play. Well, he's at South Church, so that's cool. If William is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place alas poor Yorick in play. Cool. Right, we'll have to try and get him blessed early doors. But that's William. So that's pretty good. I'll come back to the relationship cards at the end after we've gone through everybody. Right, next person is going to be Agnes Baker. And here we are with Agnes, who I pulled out. Unfortunately, a bit of a magical... She's a bit of a magician, which with the magical immunity isn't great, but let's see how we go on. Agnes Baker, the waitress. 5 sanity, 5 stamina, so that's pretty cool. Special ability, Memories of Conquest. Any phase. When Agnes casts a spell that provides a bonus to combat checks, the spell adds the number of hands it requires to its combat check bonus. Woohoo! Bloody's power. Any phase. When paying a spell's sanity cost, Agnes may spend stamina for part or all of the sanity cost on a 1-for-1 basis. That's really cool, because it pretty much doubles what she can spend. So if she starts getting low on sanity, she can start spending stamina, so that's cool. Her home is Velma's Diner. Fixed possessions is $6. She gets an extra $1 through the thematic starting possessions. She does get 3 clue tokens and she does get 1 spell with her. We'll do a random possessions in a bit. She's got a focus of 2. A speed's good at 4. A sneak, 3 is okay. A fight is at 4, which is good. Will 3, not so clever. Law 6, brilliant. And a luck is 4. Let's have a quick read of a story. The story so far. Agnes Baker may be just an unassuming waitress in this life, but in a previous life, she knows that she was a powerful witch. In a time and age undreamt of in the modern world, she forced spirits to obey her and destroyed her enemies with terrifying energies. She might never have known of her previous incarnation had she not fallen from a ladder and hit her head while changing a light in the diner. Well, that's one way of doing it. But when she awoke in the hospital, she whispered one word: hyperborea. Even then, she would have dismissed her visions of a past life as simple hallucinations if it wasn't for the fact that the spells she dreamed of were real. Trying one in secret, mortally embarrassed to be even attempting it, she was stunned to see it take effect. Since then, she has been nurturing her new powers in secret, extremely careful not to let anyone else find out. But as Agnes finishes her shift at the diner this evening, a whisper in the air warns her something is coming. Something that destroyed her once before in the ancient past, and she must be prepared. Cool. Right, so that's Agnes. Okay, so let's tool her up. First of all, I'll put her on the diner. She is on Velma's diner. Oh, let's have a quick look at Wither while it's here. So, casting modifier 0, sanity cost 0. Any phase, cast an exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks until the end of this combat, which for her, because it's got a hand, could be +4 because it's for combat. So essentially she gets +4 on Wither, which is cool. Right, so what exactly does she get? Hang on while I have a look at the thematic possession. So let's give these another shuffle. Right, let's see if she can have this one. See, it's one common item. Ancient tome, with her being a witch. Surely that's allowed. Yes, it is. So that was a bit better than good old Yorick. We got it first go. So she's got an ancient tome. That's her common item. She gets one unique item, of which there is no restriction. And she gets the Kabbalah of Sabaoth. So cool, she's got 2 tomes, spending movement points, make a law check. That's a skill. The good old Kabbalah. The ancient tome, exactly the same, except it's a law -1 check, and you draw a spell and discard the tome. So quite good for a spellcaster. She gets another spell, which is always useful. No restriction on that. She's a reincarnated witch. Alchemical process, that's a Dunwich spell. Casting modifier +0. Sanity cost 1, magical spell. You may cast an exhaust to gain $3. We're not actually doing bad for cash. She's got $6. William had $4. So that's pretty cool. And she gets 1 skill. Right, we've got to check the skills that she can have. Obviously they're all going to be like magically based. And she gets +1 will. Is that allowed? Yep, she's allowed +1 will, so she gets that. Okie dokie. Right, I'll just set her up and then we'll come back and read her personal story. Right, so let's read Agnes's personal story. Agnes Baker. She could sense it. The creature that destroyed her once before had returned to repeat the job. Last time she faced it, she was at the peak of her powers. This time she only had a few half-remembered spells and a couple of useful items. Hopefully she could find its weakness before it claimed her life once again. The Destroyer. Pass. If Agnes has 3 or more monster trophies, place not this time in play. Fail. If Agnes is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place history repeats in play. So that's Agnes. As I say, we'll do the relationship card right at the end when we've met all the investigators. Okay, so let's meet our next investigator. And here she is. Yes, it's my girl next door, the lovely Daisy. Isn't she gorgeous? Right, Daisy Walker, the librarian. 5 sanity, 5 stamina. Amazing. She's a careful reader. Any phase, Daisy never loses sanity from reading a tome. Iron will. Any phase. Daisy's sanity cost to cast spells is always reduced by 1. So again, we've got another bit of a spellcaster. Not ideal against Yog. Home is the library. So let's pop her into the library. Excellent. Fixed possessions. So $5. That doesn't change. 1 clue token. And her unique item is actually, it's a Kingsport horror item, the Lever Devon. Now, I've used it. Normally it wouldn't be in this particular scenario, but I thought, looking at it, I don't think it's particularly anti-Dunwich. So I've dug it out of Kingsport horror, and she has got the Lever Devon. Random possessions. So she'll have a common item, a unique item, a spell, and a skill. She's got a focus of 2. A speed's good, 4. Sneak's not bad, 4. Fight, not so clever, but she's a bit of a spellcaster. Will's 5, which is excellent. A law's 5, which is excellent. And a luck is 4, which is very good as well. Let's read a story. The story so far. Books have always been the most important thing in Daisy's life. She started reading tales of horror at a young age, thrilling to the terror of Edgar Allan Poe and of Stoker's Dracula. She explored in fiction what she abhorred in life: horror, violence and fear. Then she stumbled across the John Dee edition of the Necronomicon. It was macabre indeed. It was also blasphemous, unholy and too awful to be real. Frankenstein and the Raven were forgotten. The chills that ran down Daisy's spine were not those of forbidden pleasure. A new horror was born in her mind, a terror that such things could be. There were more books after that. De Vermis Mysteris, Cult de Ghoul, each worse than the last. She read them all in a mounting panic. Could they be real? Could the things they spoke of be true? Now she knows it to be so. The thing that appeared in the library was something she'd read about in Ponape scripture. If the thing was real, then everything she'd read about might be real. In which case Daisy is the only one who knows how to stop it. Go Daisy! So that's Daisy Walker. So let's pick her stuff. So she gets 1 common item. So I shall just flick across to her thematic starting possessions and check what she can have. Again, they're pretty magical in nature, very similar to Agnes's. So let's have a look. She won't be getting any shotguns or anything, which is unfortunate. Righto. Food. Is she allowed food? I hope not, because food's boring. It's not on the list. Bahaha. Gutted. Right. Next up, the lucky cigarette case. This may be okay. She's allowed the lucky rabbit's foot, but not the cigarette case. I'm glad to hear it, Daisy. I'm glad to hear you're not a smoker. Excellent. Nice one, Kung Fro. We don't want Daisy smoking. Right. Ooh, the motorcycle. Please let her have the motorcycle. No! She's... well... But hell, she can't smoke. She's not going to be allowed a motorbike, is she? Oh, downer. Next, rifle. She's not going to get the rifle either, is she? Nope. Good clean living girl. A Molotov cocktail. I'm not even going to bother looking at. She can't have the rifle. Not another lantern. Yep, she can have the lantern. We're doing alright for lanterns. Right, so that's a common item. Right, okie dokie. So, does she get a unique item? She does. There's no restriction on those. The Elixir of Life. Any phase. Discard Elixir of Life instead of drawing an Injury or Madness card. Okay. Okay, I suppose. But Injury and Madness card aren't that bad, to be honest, really. So we could have done with a better one than that. 1 spell. Go on, Daisy. We need something good. Shrivelling. Something of that ilk. Find Gate! Only kidding. We can't have Find Gate. 4C. Casting modifier -1. Sanity cost 1. Magical spell. Any phase, cast an exhaust to re-roll any one skill check you just made. Okay, might come in useful. Might come in useful, might not. So that's all Daisy's stuff. Okay, I'll just set her up in the player tray and we'll come back and read her personal story. Mind you, it'd help if we picked a skill out, wouldn't it? Don't! Right. What have we got? +1 fight. I imagine she's not allowed that. Let's check. Oh, she is. She is allowed +1 fight. That's what we like. Yeah, Daisy. Kick ass. Right. So, let's read her personal story. Yes, got on the correct side. Daisy struggled to control her panic. It was delivered in a large crate this morning. It was sitting on my desk. Carol shrugged meekly. I'm sorry, Miss Walker, but I didn't see anything. It's been a real busy day. Do you have any idea? She stopped. How could Carol have known how dangerous that book might be? Forget about it, Carol. I'll track it down. Woo! Let's see what the pass and fails are. The missing book. Pass. Daisy has 6 or more clue tokens. Place the Book of Secrets in play. Fail. If Daisy has no tomes, place Better Left Unread in play. Right, so she can't. She has to be very careful with the leave Div on and not lose it. Right, so that's Daisy. That's Daisy done. So let's go across to our next investigator. And here we are with our final investigator, who is Monterey Jack, the archaeologist. So let's have a look at him. 3 sanity. Whew, not so good. 7 stamina. So hopefully this will be a groin puncher that we need. Somebody to wield a nice common item that can do some damage against the magically immune. His special ability is archaeology. Any phase, whenever Monterey draws 1 or more cards from the unique item deck, he draws 1 extra card, then discards 1 of the cards. Excellent. Good for finding things like elder signs. His home is the Curiosity Shop, which is another good start. Fixed possession. Now it should be $7 on the card, but thematic starting possessions, he only starts with 6. The rest is fine. He gets his clue token, he gets his 2 common items of a bullwhip and a 38 revolver, which he's already got. His focus is 2, which is okay. Speed 4, fine. Sneak 3. Fight 5, excellent. Will 3, which isn't so good considering his very low stamina. Sanity. Law 4 and luck 5. So apart from that low sanity and low will, he's okay. The story so far. Monterey has been a globe-trotting treasure hunter and adventurer for many years. Following in his father's footsteps, he's always tried to ensure that the scientific value of his finds is preserved. Recently, he followed a lead on an odd prehistoric statue to Arkham. However, when he arrived, the man he came to buy the statue from was locked up in the asylum. Monterey was just about to give up and go home in disgust when a robed figure pushed past him. For just an instant, there was a flash of a silver pendant with a symbol on it that Monterey would never forget. That symbol had been carved into his murdered father's forehead and had haunted his dreams for years. Chasing after the mysterious figure, he turned a corner only to discover that he had lost his quarry. However, Monterey knows that somewhere in Arkham may lie the answer to the mystery of his father's murder, and he's not leaving until he finds it. Quite right, Monterey. You're going to find out. Right, so Monterey, he does have a bit of an oddity. We do have to do something with regards to his items when we use thematic starting possessions. So, unlike all the others, which are just generally lose this, don't use that, what we've got here is, when receiving his random starting possessions, Monterey is dealt a 4th unique item. He then discards the item with the lowest printed cost, so we're guaranteed one that costs a bit, and he chooses 2 of the remaining 3 to keep. So he will get 4 unique items instead of 2. Well, you get 4 to pick from. You will end up with 2. So with any luck, you get an elder sign. Right, come on. See, we're doing it again. Elder sign. There's the golden trumpet, $5. The wave of destruction, which is a mission, for $2. Cult the Ghoul, which is a tome, for $3. Well, this isn't very good, is it? We haven't even got a decent weapon. The Sword of Glory, $8. Well, he's definitely keeping that. I know we've got magical immunity going on, but that's just too good to pass up. So he's definitely keeping that one. He's got to get rid of the one that was the lowest, which was the mission at $2. So that gets shuffled back in. And so we've got to pick out of Cult the Ghoul and the Golden Trumpet. Let's have a look. The Sword of Glory is +6 to combat checks, by the way. So Cult the Ghoul, tome, movement. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a law -2 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell and gain 1 clue token, but lose 2 sanity and discard Cult the Ghoul. If you fail, nothing happens. That might be alright to pass over to somebody like Daisy. She never loses sanity from reading a tome, so that could be good for her. And she does have to get 6 clue tokens, I think, for a personal story. The Golden Trumpet, any phase. Put 1 sanity token from the bank on the Golden Trumpet to avoid losing 1 sanity. There are 3 sanity tokens on it. Discard the Golden Trumpet. So that's not too bad either. But I think we'll keep Cult the Ghoul and we shall trade it to Daisy, I think. I think so. I think she can get the tomes. She can do stuff with them. Yep. Golden Trumpet's alright, it is $5, but just because of Daisy's special ability, we'll pick Cult the Ghoul and trade it. Right, so we'll put the Golden Trumpet back. Plus the fact it's really for magical stuff, the Golden Trumpet, I suppose. So, though, you know, it'd work on a failed horror check, I suppose. But no, we've gone for Cult the Ghouls now because of Daisy Walker's special ability. Right, so that's his 2 unique items. We'll remember his skill this time. See what he gets. +1 sneak. I see no problem with that, but I'll just check. Yes, he can have +1 sneak. That isn't a problem. Right, I'll set that up. I'll put his marker on the curiosity shop, and then we shall read his personal story. And here we are back with Monterey. So let's read that personal story. Your father was no stranger to Arkham. Let me show you some photos. Monterey thumbed through the black and white images. In the background he could see several valuable artifacts that he didn't recognise. These things, why aren't they in a museum? My father would have insisted. The elderly gentleman simply stared back at Monterey sadly. The time for discussion was over. It was a time for action. Woo! Pass and fail effects. Digging too deep. If Monterey has 3 or more monster trophies, place nothing stays hidden in play. Fail. If Monterey has 5 or more clue tokens, place Lost to the Ages in play. So really he's got to kill 3 things before he actually starts closing gates and sealing them. But that's okay. He looks ideal for going up to Dunwich, to be honest, and keeping monsters from going into rifts. So that's Monterey, all sorted out, apart from the relationship cards. I'm going to pull the relationship cards now. I'm not going to do it on camera because there is a lot of that's not allowed between those 2 and all that sort of palaver. But just to let you know who will have relationship cards, it's William and Agnes and William and Monterey. Agnes with William, obviously, and Daisy Walker. Daisy Walker with Agnes and Monterey with William and Daisy. I'll pull those out and check that they are allowed, and we'll be back shortly to see what they are. Well, you'll be glad I didn't do that on camera. That took about 15 minutes. Okay, the relationships are William and Agnes are members of the book club. Anytime either you or your partner attempts to use a tome other than as a result of this card, the other may immediately attempt to use the same tome, even if it has been exhausted or discarded. So she's got a couple of tomes, which may come in for William. And William and Monterey, they're skullcrackers. Either you or your partner may exhaust this card before making a combat check to gain +1 to the check. So that's excellent for these two. That's a really good card to get. Agnes, she's a member of the book club with William, but she's also, with Daisy, she has courageous inspirations. Either you or your partner may exhaust this card before making a horror check to gain +1 to that check. So that's pretty cool. Daisy obviously has that one with Agnes, but with Monterey, the final relationship card we've got is friendly rivals. Between you and your partner, the investigator with fewer monster trophies gains a +1 on combat checks, and the investigator with fewer gate trophies gains +1 on fight or law checks to close gates. There is no effect in the case of ties. So they're tied at the moment, so they don't get any of this. But as soon as one of them gets a gate trophy or kills a monster, it'll kick in. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's friendly rivals, and that's the setup of our investigators. I don't think there's anything else to do, is there? Oh yes, there is. We've got to pull the first mythos card. How could I forget? Okay, I'll be back in a moment. Oh, very quickly before we do the mythos, what we've got to do is, obviously we've got to sort out our allies. So here's our ally deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now it had some in here that we had to pick. So like Professor Armitage, we had to pick him. We had to pick Earl Sawyer, Zebulon Whateley, Professor Morgan, we had to put him in. Professor Rice, Richard made it, but he was just a general pick. Corinna Jones was a general pick, I think, as was Ruby. Duke was a general pick, and Tom Mountain Murphy, and Thomas F. Malone. But Professor Armitage, Earl Sawyer, Zebulon, Professor Morgan, Professor Rice, they were all required. So those are all our allies. There's a few Dunwich ones in there. For those of you who haven't read the Dunwich Horror, fast forward now, but Professor Armitage and Professor Morgan and Professor Rice, they were all heavily involved in that particular story, which is why they're in. So those are all our allies. Right, I'll pull out a bit and we shall get on with the mythos phase. And here we are in Arkham. So, we've got Daisy in the library, William is at South Church, Agnes is up at Velma's Diner, and over here we have Monterey at the Curiosity Shop. So that's everybody ready to rock and roll. So first up, we've got our deck of Doom that we've got to kick off. My patented rubbish shuffling. I have given these a good shuffle. Well, I gave them a smoosh, I believe it's called. You know, when you put them all down. And then, because I'm bloody OCD, I had to get all the cards matching up again. So that took me a good 15 minutes as well. I don't aid myself with the setup of this game. Okay, what's our first card? Well, it's a gate on Independence Square. So we lose that clue, but where does it go? It goes to the unnameable. And pick the gate. So first Doom token onto Yog. And our gate goes there. And obviously we require a monster. After William picking all those easy ones out, what's the betting? Oh no, that's not a bad one. A maniac, yes! Easy, easy. Right, so we've got a maniac, only 1 toughness, +1 on your combat checks. This is the sort of thing we like. Let's stand him up. Over there, guarding the gate. So that's a nice start. Much better than last time. Movement, circles, squares and diamonds. But he's a crescent, so we're fine. Campus security increased. All monsters in the Miskatonic University streets or locations return to the cup. We haven't got anybody, so we can just get rid of that. We've got no environment card. Coolio. Right, so that's it. So I hope you join me next time for Arkham Horror, the Dunwich Horror. Hope this wasn't as long as they normally are. You know, an hour or something. I'll try and be creative in the editing to really cut it down. But other than that, well, thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for all the subscriptions and all the views and for all the comments, etc. As always, very much appreciated. Thank you. I hope you'll join me for turn 1 of the Dunwich Horror. Until then, this is me, Catweazle, saying toodaloo.